Of course, in this videos, of course, this idiot atheist reads Bible verses. This is, a couple of verses is mainly for liberal Christians. If you're a liberal and you're a Christian, you're probably going to need to hear this. Most Christians don't really read the Bible. They just pick and choose or read whatever the preacher tells them. But, I've been to church. Believe me, I've seen it. But here it goes. First is, of course, Amos, A-M-O-S, chapter 3, verse 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed? Well, do you agree with your religion? Do you agree with homosexuality being a sin? Do you agree with this stuff? Do you agree with the Old and New Testament? And I know, that's just the Old Testament. A lot of stuff in the Old Testament is repeated in the New Testament. Not to mention it puts death penalty for everything. Romans chapter 1. Read it. Please read that. Not to mention Revelations, and then, of course, thought crimes are now enough to get you to hell. Yeah, I know Jesus, His blood, blah, blah, blah. Are you sure that you're saved, though? Are you sure you believe correctly? Because so many different denominations, and some of them may not think you're saved. Some of them are pretty clear, after all. Can two walk together except they be agreed? You don't agree with your God on everything, on most things. Well, your God is pretty clear about, what He thinks about people who doesn't agree with Him. And one more verse. Let me pause this 1 second. Now, this is James chapter 4, verse 4. I know you're going to try to reinterpret, but here it is. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. Liberal Christians, your God considers you an enemy. Okay? Read that. James chapter 4, verse 4. Amos 3, verse 3. You don't agree with your God? Well, He considers you an enemy. You're a friend of the world. You like to go out, fun, party, use profanity and stuff like that. Well, God says you're His enemy. Of course, luckily for you, He doesn't exist. But if He did exist, well, you're in a lot of trouble. And of course, if you go to church and if you read this book, like in Corinthians, it's pretty clear that, if you're saved, God's going to punish you by disease or loss of life, loss of property, loss of this, that, blah, blah, blah. And of course, James goes into a little bit more too. So really, you need to, whose side are you on? Do you really want to continue to support this stuff when you really don't believe it? Believe a lot of it, like Genesis and all that. It's good that you don't, but you don't support Genesis. You don't believe in Jonah, Exodus. That stuff didn't happen because you accept science. You're a liberal Christian. I'm not a liberal or a conservative. I don't subscribe to that, ideology. I really could care less. But, if you consider yourself a liberal and you are friends with people who are not Christians, you defend Islam, your God calls you an enemy, not His friend. I'm not saying it. Your God is calling you an enemy. Sorry, that's just how it bees. It just bees that way. It is what it is. That's just how it is. Thanks. Feel free to watch any of my other videos, subscribe, like, or whatever you want. Or leave a comment, leave a nasty comment. If you don't agree with me, at least leave Bible verses that proves it wrong. Good luck on that one.